I think she messaged she messaged she's not coming.
She's not coming. Oh,
Cover the trees and, you know, you park on there. you're supposed to-
must be just one walking.
I would like to call this meeting to order, a special meeting of the City of Redondo Beach Art Commission at 7:00 PM on November 29th. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Cagle is absent. Commissioner Christian Kelly,
Here.
Commissioner Klein,
Here.
Commissioner Lappin,
Here.
Commissioner Melendez,
Here.
Chairperson Pucci,
Present.
Commissioner Sharma.
Present.
Okay, you have a quorum.
All right, let's all stand and salute the flag. Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, approve order of agenda. Can we have a motion to approve the order of agenda?
I'll put the motion out.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion pass. Blue folder items. Blue folder items are additional backup material and additional administrative reports and/or public comments received after the printing and distribution of the agenda packets for receive and file. We have a motion to receive and file the blue folder items.
There are no blue folder items.
There are no blue folder items. All right, moving on to item F, consent calendar. Business items except those formally noticed for public hearing or discussion are assigned to the consent calendar. The commission members may request that any consent calendar items be removed, discussed, and acted upon separately. Items removed from the consent calendar will be taken up under excluded consent calendar section below. Those items remaining on the consent calendar will be approved in the motion following oral communications. I'd like to pull the commissioners to see if there's anything they'd like to remove from the consent calendar.
There's only one item on the consent calendar today. That's the affidavit of posting. So there's I doubt anyone needs to pull that one.
I'll
Okay,
make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
I'll second.
okay. Do it all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, great. Moving on to item G then.
And so there are no
so there's
excluded,
nothing
yeah.
excluded. Public participation on non-agenda items. This section is intended to provide members of the public with the opportunity to comment on any subject that does not appear on this agenda for action. This section is limited to 30 minutes. Each speaker will be afforded 3 minutes to address the commission. Each speaker will be permitted to speak only once. Written requests, if any, will be considered first under this section. We don't have anyone here. Are there any online?
No online comments through e-comment
Okay. Move
or
to
Zoom, nothing.
item H1, public participation on non-agenda items. That's that. And so, to receive and file that portion? Have a motion to receive?
We don't have to.
You don't have to, okay. Item I, items continued from previous agendas.
There are none.
There are none, okay. Items for discussion prior to action. Item J. Do we have any?
J1.
Okay, so J1, John Parsons Public Art Fund Report. We'll send that over to Mr. Margolis to report.
Okay. So, yeah, can you project the image, please? So this is the status of the fund as of November 27th. There's currently a balance of $1,009,283.50.
Right.
And the only expense, and no new expenses since the last meeting. Below that, you see the projects that have been approved by the city council. And the one update you'll notice in the additional action column, which I can also talk about in the staff report, is that city council did approve your recommendation for Andy Jenkins to do a mural at the skate park.
Yay.
Great.
So that concludes that report, unless there are any questions.
Are there any questions that anyone has for John Parsons Fund report? Okay. J2, discussion of possible action
You can
regarding
take that down.
one or more permanent works of public art in or near the new transit center.
Okay, let's see. Okay, so I'm sorry, we have another projection now.
For you there, Gary?
So at the last meeting, during my staff report, I presented some options for, well, maybe let me back up for a second. So you've tried several times to come up with concepts that haven't worked for one reason or another. One was the mural on the bus depot. Another was the ground art with the ribbon around. And I know that you're still interested in doing something. So I went out there and was looking around and came up with these ideas that I presented to you at the last meeting. And so you asked that we put it on the agenda for this meeting. So those ideas, and you're certainly welcome to come up with any additional ones of your own, were windscreens. So there are 5 shelters, like you see in that first image. And then an example of a windscreen, I supplied, many more last week, but so you know what I'm talking about. So there's an example of a windscreen. So whether it would go on the sides or the front or the back or, whatever, would be something that the artist could decide. But that's one idea. Another would be a sculpture on the roof. For example, that. And then there are these walls that are on the sides of the ramp. So there are actually 3 of them. I'm just showing one in this picture. There's also on the right side of that ramp, there's a wall as well. So there's several walls there where a mural could go. And then in those grassy areas, you could have some kind of little sculpture garden-ish thing. So that concludes my report of those ideas. And now, please discuss, what you'd like to do.
Okay.
And
I think from reviewing the meeting, having this potential wall, it sounded like it would be a good opportunity to use one of the muralists that we had already asked for ideas from. Is that something that the commission would still like to consider for art there, Commissioner Levin?
So it was my understanding that the city council was primarily interested in having art at the transit center that could be viewed by people who were not actually necessarily in the transit center, but by the neighborhood in general. So having art that was visible from the street, I think from what my understanding of what city council wanted to see, would be more palatable to them. This wall, I don't believe, is visible from the street because it's I believe that wall is the ramp from the parking lot going down to the actual lower level of the transit center. And I think that I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe that city council would rather spend money on art that could be enjoyed, not just by people in the transit center, but by the surrounding neighbors and community and people that are driving in that area. So I would think that and Mr. Margolis, you were just there, so maybe you can correct me, but the windscreens, I think, would be visible from the street, and certainly something on the roof would be visible from the street. Is that correct?
yeah, and I think, your understanding of what city council wanted it, at least at one point in time, I think is absolutely correct. I would just add to that comment that we have different city council members now, and at that time, we were talking about $275,000. So, it would make sense that you wouldn't want to spend $275,000 on something that wouldn't be seen except by the people that are moving in and out of the center, the transit center. But if we're spending $30,000 or $40,000 or $50,000, city council might consider that.
Well, and there's nothing to stop us from doing two different things. So doing
Yeah,
the
that's what I was thinking.
windscreens and then maybe something on the roof or somewhere that was more visible to the neighborhood, which would bring more, the transit center desperately needs some kind of color in there. And so I think if we did both of those things, that would hit a lot of the, buttons of what we would like to do.
I just bring up the idea because I think it's a good idea to start putting something there.
Absolutely.
Like a sculpture, as we know, especially one that would go on top of the roof and have to also deal with architecture or the weight and such, will be definitely a process. We do have these murals that all of us really like, so I think it would be in a great interest for our commission to put something there and then make it a second project within the station to add something more alongside that would kind of pair well with the mural that we put, to get something moving, because we have art that we already like, we have artists that we've already vetted, and their work is within a good budget. Does anyone have any thoughts?
I like the idea of putting those windscreens up. I think those look really colorful, and I think that'd be a good, if we are doing it in stages, I think that'd be a good first stage if we decide to do it in parts. Those are my thoughts. Can I ask what happened? I was absent the one meeting before. What happened to the painting on the ground and,
Oh, it wasn't approved.
oh, got it.
So Public Works said that paint on the ground would be dangerous, slippery. That was a risk. And then the architectural designs for the building call for vines to eventually be there. So a mural would interfere with what was originally designed for those walls.
Got it. Thank you.
I have a comment. For these walls, it may not be a public art thing, but we can have an idea of like painting it in different colors and different shapes and having different colors in each shape. So it would not be bland like that, but it won't be probably artistic or with like we don't have to spend too much money, but making it a little colorful eventually. Not the first choice, but eventually, so it's not that bland. So that's a suggestion.
I mean, it could even be a mosaic. It wouldn't have to be a mural.
What do you mean a mosaic?
Well,
tiles.
with glass
If we're
or
talking.
tile, you know.
I agree with more along the lines of just slapping some color around. I think a lot of times on our projects here, we tend to say mural and then it turns into a thing on a corner with somebody. But like, you might be able to get away with like a $5,000, $10,000 on this one and just get some artists to slap some shapes and
Some
colors.
shapes and some colors in it.
It doesn't have to be a whole project.
It
I think,
doesn't have to be a real artist to do it either.
well, I don't want to say not a real artist, but
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying.
yeah, we have this
Per
list.
our documents that we have to abide by, it would be an artist. It would be.
That list that we put together with that list of artists, we've determined that we have artists now on that list that come in different brackets, like just based on some of the proposals they put forward on their artwork, like in those, that thing you put together, that program.
And a call for artists for a cafe. Yeah.
But no,
The
the cafe.
Yeah, the pre-qualified.
That list, there's people in there that are way under on some of these projects
Yeah, sure.
to do something like this.
Do you
But are you
have
guys interested at all of using the murals that we already like maybe pull them up, look at them and see like, oh, this would actually go really well with the windscreen. So let's start
Correct.
with this.
Yeah.
And then step 2 will be, let's create a windscreen with an artist that will vibe off one of the ones that we already like
In the
and
end,
put.
Do you have a general idea of what a windscreen would cost? Just so we have in the back of our mind what we're playing with here?
I mean, we have $1 million
I
in there.
don't, but I'm guessing that you could probably do it for 20,000, in that ballpark, depending on, the artist's design fee. It seems to me like the supplies, are going to be much, the cost of the supplies, because there won't be as much paint involved. There's going to be some kind of,
Just their material.
yeah, like whether it's
They wouldn't be
plexiglass
done
or.
on site, they would be done
Yeah,
in
it
the
would be
studio, like the
installated.
wrapping is done for the utility
And
box
then
and similar, yeah.
And then installed.
So my thought is, since we have a wall, why do we have to make it simple and slap color on it? That doesn't bode well with me, that term. I think we have these amazing artists in our that we've vetted. Let's put some of it on the wall. Why not?
The point being.
So I remember that,
That much of a visible
But it
area.
seems like it would be. I mean, you can't really see from this vantage point of the picture, but it seems like from the road, you probably, as you're driving by, you can probably see that pop of color.
Yeah.
You can't see it at all, Susan?
No, because, so do you know where the parking lot, so the parking lot is here, and then this is the ramp coming down from the parking lot to where the buses go around the terminal, so.
It doesn't go to the street at all?
You really can't see it from the street, I don't think, do you?
How
oh,
could
you
it
might,
not?
you
Yeah, it
might
comes
see it
right
a little
down
bit, but
the
But
certainly
you would
a
not
car.
enough to determine what it was.
If you're driving from Target,
you would
coming
notice that it's
around,
color.
You would see the color of it.
Yeah.
But you'd see the color, but you wouldn't actually see the artwork.
But what I want
then
you
you're on
guys to
foot, you would
understand
too.
is I'm talking about a multi-step for
No, I
enhancing
know,
this area.
But I was just answering her
So-
question.
Answering.
Let's start with putting something that we've already all vetted and all seen and all like here. And then second step, let's move on to making something that's more public, like the windscreen.
So
that-
the mural that that, say, Shimura designed for the Public Works walls was, without the sound component of it, was around $65,000, if I remember.
Way too much.
And that would be 4 times as big, as what we're talking about here. I would think that if you wanted to commission him to do a mural similar to what he's already done or come up, because remember, he came up with original designs then for the skate park as well that were equally, I thought, really nice too. In fact, if you were at the city council meeting, oh no, well, you even at the city council meeting, they were talking about the one that he did with the whale. I mean, that was like a very close second, but they ended up approving Mr. Jenkins. But, they definitely liked his work as well. City council did. I would think that, for $30,000 or somewhere $20,000 to $30,000, considering that these walls are so much less square footage than what he proposed before, that we could get him to do something.
I'd love to see anything there, as long as you think that city council wouldn't object to that.
Well, I think
I say we propose it as to,
Right.
this is the first
Okay.
step
it's
of
worth running up
that
the
we would
ladder,
like
right?
to do. So is it possible to pull up those murals that we've all liked, that we've commissioned?
Only if they're saved
Concepts
in
of?
another, let me see.
Don't we have 50,000 from that still, that they've attributed to that site,
Yes.
right? So like,
Yes.
if we stay within a budget of that 50 of figuring out how much these windscreens are and then this mural,
But
that
we
sounds
also
like.
have money in,
No, I know, but
own.
I mean, just to keep, we like the windscreens, right?
Yeah.
We like the mural, right?
Yep.
Whether or not we
I think
decide
it's
to
a
call it a
great
pop of color or.
Two-step, and these murals that we've already all liked, some of them are very colorful, and I think we pick one of those, we put that in the process, we present it to council, that this is part one of, say, 2, maybe 3 steps of putting public art in the transit center.
My only suggestion would be to just put it, I don't know how you do that, but just put the wall and the windscreens as a packet, like just say,
Okay.
you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, instead of waiting.
I-
To name something 2 steps, it's like, why can't we just put some windscreens and paint a wall? Seems,
Show where the windscreen section is again real quick.
it's on, you can roll.
You mean that?
Next
So
one.
there,
Yeah.
Can you scroll up a bit so we can see the butterflies?
The only thing
yeah.
with that one is that it's in the
so
middle.
I wanted, but I mean, if I could
know.
pull up
Transit
my
center.
report
It's not
from
on the
last time, I had a whole bunch of examples. I don't know why I can't find the,
it would be on city council, it would be
No,
on
but
the
if the whole thing is
website with the
council,
agendas and the meetings and that
Oh,
showed all of that.
that's true too, yep, okay.
Don't.
Okay.
I think people want art up. And if it's 50,000, that's not ours. Yeah, I mean, it's ours, you know what I mean? Like, we're sitting on $1 million, spend 50. Paint a wall, put some things up. We could probably get this done in 2 weeks.
No, the one previous.
Change it
The
to last
October one.
month, change the month up at the
We could
top.
do that.
There you
in 2
go.
weeks.
Yeah, I mean, next we would have to look into what artists do that. Like, do we have within our
So
art
1025?
pool, someone that
And you
could do
can,
that?
if you call, or, yeah, under the agenda, you would have it.
And that was the staff.
Top left.
Spend some money.
So what am I looking for?
You're looking for you're looking for
More
pictures.
photographs of the screens.
So that was in my staff report.
Yeah. For the skate park, right?
No, for
No, this
transit
was for
one. He had
the
more
the
photographs.
Catalina.
From last time, when you're talking about looking at the ones that we looked at for the skate park last time, or for the Public Works wall?
Well, I
There's
think,
2. There's 2.
I think I have.
right,
them.
you wanted to see additional examples of windscreens,
Yeah.
which would have been in my staff report, which
Oh,
wouldn't be.
I thought we wanted to look at the.
And you also wanted to see,
Two things. we're looking
yeah.
at.
Okay,
So
sorry.
I
that
think
would
we're okay
be,
with the windscreens right now. Let's just stay focused on the mural.
okay, so we can do the proposed murals for the skate park.
I wanted to see where the
Yeah,
windscreen
Commissioner
was.
Kelly
That's,
wanted
but it's okay.
That'll be next.
I think I have it all.
One step at a time.
So this will just show you an example of his work. It won't, well, I'd have to go back and find the ones for the Public Works wall, but we can see the one he did for the skate park.
Wait, so is he getting murals?
So we actually have, yeah, we have 4 from him. So this is, say, Shimura here.
Okay, maybe I'll.
And these are the designs he submitted for the skate park. So this was the first one, second one. That'd look really cool, I think, at the transit center. And then this is the one that city council liked. If some from city council liked. The one he did for the Public Works walls were very similar to these two.
Maybe increase. Okay, I think out of these 3, I would choose, could you scroll down? The one with the waves and whale.
I like that one too.
As consideration, there's some more to look at, but out of this, so we don't have to maybe come back to this screen again. Can I take a little vote of, out of these items, is there anyone that you would like to consider for the bus stop?
But Gary, you said they liked,
Number 4?
yeah, which one was the one you were?
Well, for the skate park, now remember, every location's different,
Yeah.
but this was their, at least one of the council members was liking this one
Okay.
for the skate park.
Okay. I just wanted to see what was,
And the reason was, let me think if I can remember.
it's cartooning.
Oh, I remember what it was. Okay. So the one council member thought that the mural at the skate park should represent more than just skateboarding culture. And the Andy Jenkins mural was pretty much focused on skateboards only. The council member felt that, you know, there's the ocean and there, especially since it's right down there by the water, there are other things going on there at the pier in addition to the skate park, that people who were walking there
Right.
would, even if they weren't skateboarders, you know, they would see the mural, and he thought it made sense for it to reflect more than just skateboarding.
Yeah, that's very on the nose.
I like this one, I think it's a little dark for the
dark.
bus.
It's very
bus.
dark too.
So,
It's great, but it's a little dark for that area.
I'd like to consider, is it number 3, the one above?
Yeah, we all like the waves.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's keep that as an option for the bus stop. Can we look at the previous murals from the Gertrude and Catalina?
I think so. So, anybody remember which meeting that was?
It was
That
the
would have
last
been-
meeting too, wasn't it?
Nope. You think that was October as well?
Yeah, because
maybe-
September, we didn't have the
Yeah,
meeting.
it was October, it was the same meeting.
Walls at the skate park.
Excuse me.
Oh, no, we just
Yeah.
looked at his.
Right, so it's the one
last
before
meeting.
this one.
Yes.
7/26, I guess. Yep, there it is.
July 26th.
Location.
No, but there, we've already got this far, and we all like them in some capacity. So it just kind of helps us move forward to.
The same artist at all different, at 2 different locations.
He hasn't been at another
He hasn't been
location.
awarded?
No.
Oh, he didn't get the other
All right,
location.
so this is the guy, this is Ernesto that you selected, this one.
Did anything move forward? I'm fine with it.
The skate park.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, this is John Pugh, okay.
I think that's the one though.
Asked us to do rendition. Were chosen for the skate.
Should, you want me to go on, or you want to look at this for a while?
No, you can keep going.
And then these were says. So this was, he did a couple. This was one. So that one on the bottom is a little bit brighter. And then these. Oh, and, oh, yeah.
That one's
Oh, this one.
that one's
Yeah, this is the one you picked for the Big Lots wall, remember?
Yeah,
I like that one.
I like
do
that one
too.
too.
I think that's all
What's
of
this,
them.
is this,
the top one. Which one?
what's this artist's name?
Say Shimura.
Oh, it's still Say, okay.
Yeah.
Yellow boat.
What, you want to see anything again?
So it's Say, it's John Pugh. Was there a third?
Well, that was the guy you picked, Ernesto.
Oh,
Milad.
and then Ernesto, yes, of course. Okay. I'd like, I think it would be in our best interest to pick one of these to move forward and award one of these artists the opportunity for a mural. We all like these pieces in some capacity. Number 3, the Sunset Waves, and this one, the Yellow Boat. I would like to move forward with picking one of these to put on the transit center stairs as step 1 of our packet with the wind, or what is it called?
Well, and they're actually, there's more than one wall there, because there's a wall,
It goes
I
like
wish I had
this.
I
Goes
wish I
like
could
this.
find my presentation
Yeah.
from last meeting, because there are actually 3 or 4 walls there that border that. So there's the one big wall that you saw in the picture today, but then on the other side of the ramp, there's a wall that you see, it's even bigger, and you see it from the waiting area. And then, I can't think of where they are now, but I think there were 4 walls. So, but when you consider that Mr. Shimura's murals covered
Yeah.
200 linear
pretty
feet,
expansive.
I mean, he's got plenty of design.
Yeah, absolutely. You can even see there's variance. He made 2 walls already with different looks. So in that piece. So would everyone else like to move forward as well with picking one of these to move?
I really
love
like
this
this
one.
piece. I think.
The Yellow Boat?
Yeah, I think the piece will look really good at the transit center.
I agree.
Isn't the Yellow Boat is it already at North Catalina? Or
No.
No, that was the proposal.
I
He
see.
just put it on there as a proposal.
Yeah, I think it's great too.
So how are we, so with the windscreen portion of this, we're just talking about submitting this for the walls right now?
Yes.
And then what do we do? I mean, without an artist, can we just suggest the windscreens? How does that work?
We could suggest a windscreen is going to be part 2 so that they know we're not just putting a mural there.
So-
But I don't think we have to have the whole packet presentation, because we don't have the artist yet
For that portion?
for that portion.
But would we?
But to know our intention.
But would we include that now? So,
Well,
I'd like to include
I
this.
think it would make sense when we take this to city council to say that we would also, let me just finish, and then we would get a thumbs up or down from them, because to your point, Commissioner Lappin, they might just say, hey, if it's not something we can see from the street, we don't want to spend $5 on it, right? So,
Having seen this work and how beautiful it is, I mean, wouldn't that artist maybe the same artist be able to also design the windscreens, and it could all be a cohesive project, one project together?
yes.
Yeah, we could look into if he's knowledgeable of how to do that, because it would take him being able to know how to put his work into that kind of medium.
But I think to Mr. Margolis's point, it would probably be good to take city council's temperature first to make sure that this is something that they would actually like to move forward on. So we don't spend time gathering information.
Yeah, that's 100% why I'm like, let's do
no,
this.
no, I agree with you.
All right, so,
I think that if we can just give them something that looks nice, they might be more inclined to approve it than if they have to imagine what it would look like. So,
when we, we are moving forward with this. Everyone agrees
Yeah,
that this is
we're
something
just trying
else
to
that we're
figure out
moving
how to
forward.
package it up, right?
Yeah, so we would like to make sure that they know that we have a two-part to this station. This is part one. If they approve and like this look, then we'd like to create a windscreen with a similar appeal, perhaps even done by the same artist.
Yeah, well, I think Commissioner Klein's point is a very good one, that if we're gonna, cohesive makes sense. So I think if we take something to city council, we should say, this is what the commission would like to do if it's okay with you, right? That's basically what we would be doing. And we would have a certain amount of artwork that you already like, that we could say, we like this artist, this is work that he's submitted for other projects, we think he could adapt it, to this space. We'd like your permission to move forward with this idea, with this concept.
Great.
Yeah, and actually, I had liked the way he's put those pipes for the sounds, and we can include that too, hopefully, because there are no residents in that area, so you never know.
That's true, and that's the wall, yeah.
It is true.
And maybe they could even go on the ground rather than on the wall. You know what I mean?
But I think he needs the wind to make that sound.
Okay, yeah.
So ground may be obstructing the wind, but
if there's, so what would be the point of having the sound there then?
maybe on top of the
I mean,
building.
seriously, what does that add to the artwork? Who's going to hear it there?
Well, it's true, and I think the reason he did it for the Public Works wall was because the theme was supposed to have something to do with sound, right?
No, but I was
Music,
looking
sound.
at like on top of the building then.
Oh, I see.
Okay,
So then we can have that cohesive.
so we are all in
one
agreement
artist
that we
doing
would like
everything.
to move forward with this art piece for sending it to council for the public work, or public, what's it called? It's transit station, sorry. Can do we make a motion? Or what happens?
Yeah, someone should make a motion, it'll be to have staff prepare, take to council a proposal that includes murals on the walls and possibly windscreens to be designed by this artist, Seishimura, who's already been vetted, and include his previous design that he's submitted for other projects, for us.
And have him expand on that to include new artwork on windscreens
Right.
to make a cohesive project.
Okay, like to make a motion to have staff prepare a presentation to council to propose Sei Shimura's art piece, art mural for the transit station with combination of a windscreen to pair with this, and have the artists adjust as needed for that location.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, so you actually made the motion?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And then see if there are any public comments and then take a vote.
Oh, yeah.
No public comments,
No
ma'am.
public comments.
Everybody liked it.
Perfect.
Good job.
Okay. Then we move on to J3.
Oh, I hope this one works.
Me too.
Olivia and Susan. Okay, so the next one is.
Discussion and possible action of
Yeah, this is
related
the
to
city council goal. So. This one? Yeah. All right, so one of the council has a strategic plan each year. And one of the items in the plan, in the current plan, is under the goal 6, enhance the delivery of city services, objective number 8, city gateway signage. collaborate with the Public Art Commission to develop concepts for large horizontal signage at key city points of interest and present a report to the City Council on possible locations and concept options. So what I put in the attachment to this administrative report were examples not just of gateway signage, because we sort of had this conversation before when we were talking about Artesia. One large gateway sign can be upwards of $500,000, right? So, and I don't know how many locations you guys would really want, sort of like that. Well, I have a couple pictures here, and then if you want, I can go to the, oh, I thought I did. I'll have to go to the PowerPoint. But these are the locations that you already, or that were already identified in the public art plan. So the two things they're asking for is, where would you want additional welcome to Redondo Beach, or this is Redondo Beach, or identity kind of signage? What locations would you think are the most, would you recommend? And then what would you put there? Okay, so let me go to the other.
Does our
here.
city have a saying? Like, do we have a?
Slogan, no,
They're actually working, they're working on a new logo right now. I don't know if that's going to include a new tagline or not, but I think they're close to coming up with a logo.
Well, I would think that we would need to see the logo first before we could expand on what artwork we want to do, because the logo would have colors, and if the city's trying to brand a new brand with their logo, I would think that we would want to include that in whatever it is that we're doing for signage, or at least the color concepts.
Well, I think certainly, yeah, that we would have to give that to an artist that was selected. But I think you could select locations and the types of, so like here I've shown, so you've got these big things like that, but then you've also got, the rocks and the, these kind of supported things. I mean, you could sort of, once you knew your locations, you'd know how much space is there and what kind of a sign would look good there. And then, of course, yes, you wouldn't want an artist to start working on something until you knew what the logo was, the new logo was.
How is this a art thing when one of the signs we have here, this Redondo Beach one, which is awesome. These are the ones I like. Like, we have a couple of these, right? There's one on Artesia, then
This
there's this one on 190th or whatever street that is down towards the beach. I've
there's
taken
one there.
I have pictures of both of this one and the one Artesia. Like this, we didn't do this.
Are you talking about this sign here?
The Redondo Beach
He's
one.
talking about the
No.
monument sign that says
Oh.
Redondo Beach.
I don't understand how
That one.
Yeah, I don't understand how any sign like that big ends up being an art thing. Like, how is it not a city?
Well, if it's designed by an artist, it's a public artwork. If it's designed by a monument company like this one, then it's, because all they did here was they took a standard form and they stuck our logo on it. I mean,
Yeah, I guess that's my question, is if it's something on this measure, to me, that this is the same as, I'm just asking, why is it an art thing?
Well, this wouldn't be. I think, but so the strategic goal was to partner with you, and then you may say, this doesn't sound like a good public art project. That could be what you decide.
Okay.
And at one time, we briefly just touched on as a possible thing in the future of doing an artwork that was throughout the city, that was cohesive, that people would see different iterations and different colors or different, but it was all the same thing, like sailboats or dolphins or whatever. I'm just using that as an example. It doesn't have to be that, but and then if you did something like that, you could make it more arty than a monument sign.
I kind of like these, is all I'm saying. And these aren't bad, like, anchor points to have throughout the city as far as coming up with stuff that comes out of our budget on a grand scale. That's all I'm saying. Like me and Marcy have been screaming for Kingsdale by the bridge since I got here, and she's been doing it.
Well, so then you definitely want to tell them that that's the location they should consider.
Agreed. And I guess my thing is whatever comes out of our budget on something like this scale, I guess it's more of like, these are nice. And if we're going to do something cool that big, then why can't we get Kingsdale and stuff like this? Is like they're all willing to jump in on $250,000, grand scheme going over arches and everything, and we were just asking for paint at Kingsdale. Or some of these cover the thing. That's all. I'm just trying to like box in what we're trying to do.
They're opening the door now to Kingsdale. I mean, of course, one of the issues is whether or not what parts of it the city owns. But even if the city doesn't, even if the city doesn't own it, if they decide that as part of this strategic objective, that is a location that should have art or a sign or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Then they'll direct staff to work with whoever owns the property to see if we can make it happen. The door is open now for you to.
Well, I guess my suggestion would be, if we're going to go for arches and whatever we decide, like if we want to come up with something where we go for arches, we should ask for these, so this doesn't come out of our budget, and get these put, and then we get Kingsdale's. All I'm saying, like if we're in the process of, these guys are asking us our input on things about arches over roads and whatever, and the door's open now, then okay, this doesn't come out of our budget. They can figure out where to put a couple of these. And when they figure that out after the logo, then we come up wherever we want arches, right? And we get Kingsdale. I'm just saying to come up with a grander plan. They're having their ideas. And if they are, they got plenty of work to do too. Now we're moving along, it seems like, on some projects here. And I'm just saying, if they're willing to spend $200,000-$300,000 of our money that we've been collecting and sitting on for the whole thing, and now somebody's got an idea for a Las Vegas sign over whatever part of the city, then let's make sure we get some of these nice things too as part of whatever on their end, and get some of these other projects that we've been trying to get done. That's all. I'm just saying that everybody has this grand idea of like spending the money that's entrusted to us, and they got all these ideas, and it's like we've been screaming for 2 years to get some paint on one road.
So the question is, do you want to make a decision today as to how you want to respond to that strategic objective? Or, would you like to spend some time looking at all of those other locations? I think they're asking you to help them do that. If you don't say, of those 60 locations that were identified in the public art master plan, we think these 10, 6, whatever would be the best, then somebody else with less aesthetic interests is going to make that decision, right?
So, correct. So I guess the same way we just packaged up the last thing with the wall and whatever, I guess my suggestion would be to do something similar here, is we're saying, okay, we'll whatever we have to say as far as deciding on what locations to do something.
So you're trying to say, let's just propose to them that we do the Kingsdale Bridge for this arch idea. Like, we would like to say that's one of our top choices of locations.
What I'm saying is we can all figure out what locations. However that happens, we decide where an arch, because I imagine, like, we know Obaji's got his plans of where to put arches sometimes, or whoever counsels on whatever, that we propose, when we say this thing with the arches, that we make sure we package up the idea that there are lesser costly things we can do along with this, such as branding the Kingsdale thing, just to put that in there too. And then have the idea of just using some of these on the other end. So it's this comprehensive idea for them. It's a little more palatable that they get the arch, right? We're going to end up picking wherever they want. some of these things can go someplace around the city, right, as part of that program. And then we offer up the Kingsdale branding as well.
Okay, I'm not sure I understand your inclusion of those things, because those things are already in town. You're just saying you want more of those in town?
What I'm saying is these guys sounded like they want to put a couple arches all over the city, right? Like,
They want a couple arches, or they want one
You know,
grand one?
it did sound like that, I agree. But I think when they really see what that's going to cost, they will change their mind.
Right.
I mean, if they were to do another one like we have at the harbor, you know, the huge
big
one,
one,
right?
yeah.
I mean, that would easily be $1.5 million nowadays,
Sure.
right?
Right.
And if it's
Structure,
if it's
lighting.
designed by an artist, it's even going to be more. Let me just
so
look at
is
some of these
more
other.
their idea of just asking us like the aesthetic of it then? Is that?
No, I think,
Can I say something? So this is the way I envision it, that we have a number of locations throughout the city. And if we identify 5 to 10 locations that we think will be the most prominent display of a combination of branding, signage, and artwork, and we come back and we say, we find that these locations we think would be the best. That's step number one.
Yeah.
Step number two would be to say, okay, now the city has decided on a new logo. And the logo has this type of font for the writing, and the logo has these colors in it. And we would like to then, we need to interpret that into several different iterations of signage that would incorporate the logo, the colors, the branding. If you have 10 locations, obviously, they're all going to require different sizes, different shapes, and whatever. But if we decide on a design that we think is a cohesive design that would run throughout the city, that would incorporate all the same font style as the logo, the same colors, even if you expand them as the logo, and we present that to City Council, then that's a starting point for them to proceed to decide how they would like to go forward. And I think that we should come back to our next meeting with each commissioner bringing 5 suggestions, using an arbitrary number, of what they feel are the top locations that they would like to see that kind of program. That's my suggestion.
Okay, so we would start just with locations. I think that's a good process. This is definitely a multi-stepped situation. As we all know, we like to move forward with things, but we are kind of still waiting to see what the logo is going to be, what the saying, what the font is going to be. So we can't really offer much of design concept until we know what we're working with. So out of this situation, out of this agenda item, I think if we could add to our next meeting agenda that we discuss, everyone comes with their top suggestions of locations for the sign piece.
And how many would you like us to each bring?
Is 5, do you say 5? Is that how many
just
districts we have?
picked a
We have
number
5
out.
districts, right?
how about if you each picked locations that were in your council district? Because I think
Some of
that,
us are from the same, like we're from.
are any of the council districts not represented here? Is someone from 1? Someone from 2?
Maybe, who knows?
3? 4? 5?
Me.
Okay, so each of the districts is represented. It's okay if, because then you could be an advocate with your,
Your particular area.
and your council member as well, to say, hey, we're working on this and, and anything you propose is more likely to get approved if it looks like it's comprehensive across the city and you're each working in your own, looking at your own district. If,
That's a good idea. I like that. So let's do that. Everyone find
So is
your
this like,
favorite
is the
spot.
signage would be like, welcome to Redondo Beach, or just Redondo Beach welcomes you?
We don't know yet because we don't know what the logo is going to be,
but-
or the font. So we don't know if we want it to say,
yeah, it's not how
hello,
it, yeah.
welcome.
But
But
I
it's
just-
like these.
Like the entrance,
options.
like the gateway, we are looking at
Yeah, like,
gateways, right?
to mark the territory of.
Like you should
where-
find some place that kind of represents like a street or a open space. that
Like
gives
some
you
of
that.
these examples, they don't all say welcome to, some of them just say,
Say the name.
where the place is. And then maybe something that's representative of that district or of that neighborhood, like Redondo
Riviera
Beaches.
Village or,
I don't know. That's another reason why if you picked your own district, you may know the quirkiness of it or the unique character of it that could, be used on something like this. I'd also like your permission or to know what you think about if they ask me to bring a report or submit something before our next meeting. Is it okay if I say that, you guys are recommending that they consider things other than arches and use like these examples, like it might be something in the median, or it might be something on 2 poles on the side, or, right, but.
Yeah, because we'll come back with our locations and then those locations will dictate what's possible to put there. Like on Artesia, like if we put one there, I think it's just way too wide of a street to put like a big arch. But something in the median, I'm looking at one, it says North Park. It's just like a T. So it's like right in the middle.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
It just has
also
a
more
T.
palatable from a budget standpoint.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah, this is in San Diego where I used to live, and so is the Hillcrest one.
Okay, so I
Oh,
would
and
like,
this is San Diego too, the Gaslamp Quarter.
I have a
Oh,
question.
in Hillcrest, yeah.
Is there any way, I don't know who would do this, it's probably some research, to find out how much some of these cost?
Well, what they cost when they did actually do the research when we presented the first report to council on the Artesia project. They run from, like there was one that was recently completed in Los Angeles. It was like 400,000 and up. I don't think you're going to find one for less than 400,000. That's, especially if you want one that's designed by an artist and looks really good.
One that kind of goes across the street?
Yeah.
Okay. So 400,000-ish.
It'd be, I think, also a good idea for, like Riviera Village, they already have their own design for, in the village that they really, I know, really worked hard on. So I'm not sure about that in North Redondo for their business association, but I think it's important to contact the areas, if they each have a business association, to get some input for them too, because that does affect, their businesses.
Well,
too.
and
mean,
I also think
it should,
that, so
it should have
some
a good flow
districts
then.
have way more signage than others. So in District 1, you have the pier sign. You have the sign that goes over where you're coming in off of PCH and coming where the dolphin fountain is, and then the whole thing that says, well, King Harbor and all of that. So you have quite a large amount of signage that already exists there, and nobody's going to take that away. So it
No, that's
might
why
be
everyone
that
will go to their
right,
district
but that's what I'm
and
saying.
keep
It
in
might be
mind.
that district may need less signage than some other
Yeah, absolutely,
districts.
absolutely.
And I also think that that the city is not going to do it. It's unlikely that the city will want to spend $400,000 to go over different boulevards throughout the city. So how does this tie into the Artesia project, where they were looking at that monument sign and then they decided to go with an art component instead? How does that tie into that?
Well, that's a great question. This would obviously be part of that potentially, and I was going to talk about that in the staff section, where they're really pushing me to bring something to City Council pretty soon about that. obviously, Artesia would be one place where they're interested in having multiple signs. I think that it would be, when you're talking about cohesive, what makes it difficult or tricky is that, so we're going to have an artist or several artists working on a big concept for Artesia, making that whole thing cohesive, but then is that going to also tie into a bigger picture for this strategic objective?
Is there a database that has all of the signage in Redondo Beach so that we could look at as far as what's already existing, so we know how we're going to fit everything into something?
But are we really doing, I mean, I know we're all going to our own districts to kind of promote where we think a good sign would go, but we're not making 5 signs, correct?
No, but I'm just saying, I mean, if we already knew where a lot of signage was, maybe that would help to identify places that were lacking.
I mean, I think just driving around town, our city's not that huge. We definitely know there's a harbor, King Harbor. We know there's.
Yeah, I mean, that could be part of what you do in your own district,
Yeah.
right?
Another quick question.
Create a database.
There you go. There you go.
I have a question about the Artesia district. Are they having a big architect do something really, really fancy, some really, really fancy sign? Because maybe if that would be first, then we play off of that.
Right. That hasn't been decided yet. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, if they are going to spend $1 million
Right.
on one, then you probably would want to play off of it in other places. Yeah.
Or have our artists that we choose collaborate with them, because maybe they do the structure part, and then we have an artist that does some of the detail work that makes it art, not necessarily the
Right.
foundation stuff.
Totally agree. Yeah.
So a lot of this is good discussion, but all very early in any of our plans. So right now it has to be done in steps. We don't have a logo, we don't have a signage, we don't have font. We just need to take our time to find a spot and come back with our ideas for the next meeting.
Sounds good.
So you're going to start with locations, and then hopefully as the logo and other things like Artesia get developed, that'll give you more data input to continue making decisions about this strategic item.
Correct. So we'll make a motion to add this to the next agenda, to our next meeting's agenda, to everyone come back with their own location ideas for their districts. And we will make that one step further to getting this information to council.
That works for me.
Do we need any kind of motion?
Yeah, I think you should make a motion.
I'll make a motion that we put this line item back on the agenda for next meeting, and with the caveat that each commissioner will go into their own district and come back with some ideas on where good signage could be in their district.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
So one question, Mr. Margolis. Where can we get information about the Artesia corridor details?
What did you say
Can
after
we get-
corridor?
The Artesia corridor details,
Details. Well,
all the things that are gonna happen.
So as soon as, so I'm working on a report now, which is basically the process that the commission would use to find an artist. So I'm going to say exactly what you did with the mural, the Public Works mural. I'm going to say, in this particular case, you're not going to go to your pre-qualified roster because this would include sculptures and possibly, all other kinds of artwork. I'm going to say, we would do a request for qualifications. We would describe what the project is. We put the request for qualifications, ask for artists or design teams who've done similar projects to show us samples of work that has already been completed. That's going to come in, you're going to go through it, you're going to pick 3 or 4 or however many you decide to pick, and we're going to ask them to then submit formal proposals of, what the artwork would look like, where they would place it, at which intersections, medians, or their business walls that you would partner with businesses, we'd say, what's your proposal, for making all of this happen? And then you would pick an artist and a proposal, and we would take that to city council. Where it gets tricky is that in all likelihood, it's going to include some partnerships with businesses, right? So it's not just going to be art in the median or on the sidewalks or new benches or new garbage cans or art on lamp poles or something like that, all that the city owns. The sense that I get from the council member and from others that I've talked to is that the business owners on Artesia are very interested in seeing more artwork on their walls as well. What that kind of an arrangement would look like, who's going to own the artwork, I mean, the lawyers are going to have to deal with that. But I think that is going to be a part of it, and that makes it, a lot more difficult and tricky. It would mean that in our proposal, when we submit our request for proposals, we would probably have already identified which businesses want their walls to be included in this process. That's going to be a lot of work for somebody.
So what do we have
That's about as
till
much
now?
as I know now.
What does the council have till now? That's the information.
The process. They
have
want to
the
know the
process.
process.
Okay, and where can I find that?
Well, it's what you've done. You guys know it already. I'm basically just going to be saying it's request for qualifications, request for proposals.
Okay, no, my question was, where do I find more information of what the council has already approved for the Artesia corridor?
nothing.
It doesn't have to be related to public arts, like the whole thing.
Oh, well, there's a plan that was approved, I think, a couple of years ago called the Artesia Aviation Corridors Plan.
Okay.
And that's on the website somewhere. I think I can either send you a link to it
Okay.
or I can send you the actual PDF. It's a very, it was done by a consultant. I'm sure they paid a
Right.
lot of money for it. And it includes a lot of stuff
Yeah.
related to
Okay.
how to develop those two corridors.
Yeah, so if you have like that brief from before, I think we can elaborate from the artistic end of it then. I just needed to know more information, so if you could send me
Yeah.
that, that would be nice.
Sure, yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, I didn't realize that's where you were going. Yeah, okay.
Okay, moving on to J4, items from staff.
Okay, we can take this down now. All right, so that basically, I think we sort of covered Artesia. They want me, they want me to bring something to council soon.
What are they expecting out of you? Like, what,
That's a good question, because they keep giving me different directions, and every time a layer of approval, looks at what I've written.
so
But basically, it's going to be just what I said. It's going to be, I'm including, so there was a meeting with, the city manager and my director and some other folks about very recently, because they wanted it to go to council very soon. And basically, they said, tell us the process and then incorporate the history of the work that's already been done. So that plan that I just talked to you about, they also want me to include all of those locations that were already identified in the public art master plan. And those are going to be the main components. The history, what's already been developed through other plans, and then what process would the commission use to move forward with selecting one or more artists?
perfect.
And that's in your master plan as well. I mean, I'm not making this stuff up, it's,
So they're asking you to compile all the stuff that we've kind of been sorting out ourselves for the last year, right? As far as deciding on things and coming a list together. And then they're asking you for some comprehensive process that we've kind of talked at length as far as so they can move forward and then come back and ask us to actually execute things.
I think that's right.
So we're basically coming up with a plan right now of how we get to do things. So whatever we say, you get to go back and tell them how we're going to do it. And then they let us, is kind of what I'm grasping, right? So we have an opportunity here to tell them our process of how we're going to do things.
Well, I'm using the process that's in the master plan.
Well, I guess
so
I'm-
if you want to do something different than that, then
No. I'm asking what they ask of you, and then just kind of grasping for everyone else here that we have a unique opportunity as far as process concerned. If there's anything we've missed to go with our dream, right? Like whatever we want, we have an opportunity for you to go back and say, hey, this is how we've been doing things. And then,
yeah.
which goes along with the Kingsdale thing still, and the whole thing where we have opportunities here to just kind of assign artists, is what I'm saying. We have this list and we're doing it, right?
But that's what he would go and report, that we've created pools.
Okay, that's, yeah, I'm just trying to get everybody, like, we have a unique opportunity to start moving.
I have an idea. I mean, it would maybe cost us some money, but would we ever consider hiring a photographer out of our budget? I mean, we have some money, $1 million, right? Maybe like hiring a photographer to go to all the different places. We give them some assignments sort of and tell them to go and cover it. And then we can look at professional pictures and make some good decisions about where these.
It's not a bad idea. I don't know if that's a city manager thing though. Like some of this stuff that they're asking us to do has nothing to do with art. And it's like, there's the city planners, there's architects, there's all these other people that should have stuff like this, like we were talking about, as far as a catalog of some kind of color scheme. Like that should be a city thing. Like there should be some kind of,
A blueprint.
yeah, like, you go to you would go to some other place and they would have like a
Graph plans.
magazine. Yeah, they
Well,
have,
I think-
font choices. There's the list that's approved by the city. And it sounds like that's what they're kind of wanting to do now
Oh, that what they
with
want
the
to
logo.
for the, well, what are we talking about? The logo or
But this
Artesia?
is the kind of stuff I'm saying is that we're talking about getting photographers, cataloging the stuff that's in these, that we don't have any of this.
Yeah,
Like,
because we're kind of, I think that we're in some ways, this request is asking us to be boots on the ground, and we were going to divide and conquer, right, and all go out. But we're also not professionals. We're just people with we're not professionals as far as understanding what can be done on that land. We're just going to give our opinion. But if we had professional pictures that really knew how to capture it, someone else could look at it. Just in addition to our opinion that we bring back, we could have really nice photographs that could really show where things could be put and where they can't be put and why.
The council is, you're the commission that has been appointed to make recommendations to the council. So you can't be expected to be experts in every possible question that might come up. But
Exactly.
you live here and you live in your council districts and you have opinions. So there are 7 opinions, which is better than 0 opinions, right?
Good.
So you're going to, the way commissions work is the council says, what do you think about this, right? This is the first step. They will hire experts after you provide your input and staff provides their input and the members of the public provide their input. For sure, experts are going to be hired. And it might be that some of the experts that are hired are artists that are hired through your process. And they're going to look at the locations that you identified and they're going to say, you know what? 3 of the locations that the commission identified are great. I don't know why they didn't pick number 8, because it would really be good. And they're going to put together their proposal, and that's what's going to go to city council. And you're either going to support it or you're going to say, no, we still like our original 5 locations. We think the artist was wrong about location number 10 or whatever, or no, they're right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, especially now that we see what their design is. But I do want to say something about photography. The ordinance says that the funds can be used for anything that supports the goals of the public art program. If you want to have professional photographs taken of locations because we need to include them in the RFP, makes sense to me, then I think you can do it. You may not have to decide on that today.
I think it sounds good once we have the location. I don't think sending a photographer out to take shots of locations, I don't really understand that process because that photographer doesn't know our area, know where to shoot per se. Are you saying just making all the items that are on this list, take photos of those, of the master plan? Or where you
No,
want to take photos?
I'm saying we look at a map and we go to where all the entering points are to the entrances, and we look at,
You can go to Google Map and do
right,
that
and
see
pick them
that.
out, and then have someone else, a paid professional, go and take pictures of all of them.
I think that'd be good to do once we decide on the location, not have photos taken of all the locations just to take them. Because it
Okay,
would just be part of our presentation package. So if we wanted to do that at that point, but to me, I don't think it's necessary to take photos of multiple points.
I mean, I location scout everything I do for what I do for my career, and I know I have to look on a map, figure out where it is, and I go get a picture of it before I go there with my camera crew to go shoot something. So for me, that's a normal thing, is to go do a location scout and take pictures of it. So, but I know that we all have jobs. I don't know if all of us are going to be able, if I'm going to be able to go to all the places in my district and find all those places, and I may not even know about them.
And kind of piggybacking on what
Matt,
she's
it's like
saying
a bigger
about,
job.
I'm not along the same way Marcy's thinking about, like the photography aspect. I do the same thing, like I scout. And what my kind of understanding before we're getting into some of these projects that we're doing and this city's grand plan, somebody should do this, whether it's somebody we hire or the city. It has to be done, is the way I see it. There are signs here, this King Harbor sign, it's blue. Then we go to these are the old ones. These are the Redondo Beach signs, and they're green. Population 65,000. How old's that sign?
That should be changed.
Right? Like, how old's that sign? What's the population of Redondo? It's not 65,000. So
66,000?
whatever that number is, it might be 65,200, whatever that number is. But my point is that we have signage that is not cohesive. It's all over the place. As far as whatever the city, these guys on the council are talking, they're asking us our opinion on artwork, and they don't even have a logo yet. We have signs across the city that are blue, green. We have these super huge anchor brick things that I like, right? And then they got this one that says, this is the same one that's like the brick thing. These are nice. These came out not too long ago, right? Like 5 years ago, maybe, the blue and yellow ones. So someone somewhere, whoever the city person is, that decided to put that big architectural rock thing down, somebody decided on that and that font and everything. And they also decided on that sign right there on 190th that goes towards the beach. The city manager, whoever does this city planning, somebody's off the rails here and leaving signs all over the place. And I guess what Marcy's saying too is like, there should be someone that goes around the city and takes a damn picture of every sign we have. That's not out of the ordinary. We're not asking, this isn't something crazy. There should be a photographer hired by the city to go catalog the entirety of this city's signage. There should be some big document somewhere of every city sign in this city. We agree that it's not that big, right? Are we a small town or a big city? Well, what do we want to do?
But right now, aren't we just having the beginning of a discussion?
Correct. And
We're
that's
just going out and saying, I think that maybe the city should look at these 3 things or these 4 things. It's the beginning of a discussion. It's not changing the whole process or changing the whole world. It's starting the baby steps to move forward with that as a discussion.
I hope that, I'd like to think that me opening my mouth and talking is part of the discussion. That's what I'm saying, is that if we're gonna go up and have this discussion, right? We're having a discussion, that's what this is. We've agreed that the first step is coming up with the locations. You've also said that they're asking you for these processes, right? That they're asking you what the thing is. And as the council, we have an opportunity to say something back that, hey, you guys got to do some more work too for us. Like, you're asking us to come up with these recommendations on things that you don't even have a logo yet. But you're asking us our opinion as artists and people of the city on things that you guys aren't even ready for. And you're acting like it's us. That's my point, is like, you have an opportunity to go back and say, hey, there's some other things that you need to do before we start dropping $250,000 on arches and all these other dreams that they have. It's like, we don't even have a catalog of the signs and colors. We don't even have a catalog of the fonts. We have a 19, what year is the master plan? 2016?
16.
And then we're supposed to pay for the photographer to go scout these things and come up with these. That's what I'm saying. There's this kind of feeling that we haven't even gotten the Gateway project or anything. And they're asking us like these. I'm not saying anything. What I'm saying is I'm just bringing this up in the discussion that we have an opportunity for you to go back and say these things. It's like, I'm ready to spend money. I have no problem just say, hey, let's do that. Let's do that. But there's this, it feels like there's this.
Would that be like a referral to staff? Like, we feel there's items missing that are necessary for us to be efficient.
Yes.
Well, I think what I'd like to try to do is invite somebody from planning to come to a meeting so that you can talk to them. You know, I mean, because otherwise it's just going to be me interpreting,
Correct.
you know, what you're saying and going back and forth and back and forth. And
That's
so,
good, especially when we get to this level of items like a signage. We're going to need to be able to talk to planning and whatever other commissions that play a role that would help guide us.
Let me see if I can,
Yeah,
Because just like the Gateway,
somebody.
we decided a new location, but then that location didn't work because of what's underneath that area, right? If
no,
we had,
we're going to try to make, are you talking about the parquet?
yeah,
No, we're going to try to make that work.
okay. But if we had someone that would be knowledgeable in our different parks and what wouldn't work, because what's under that ground, what's not, it would just be helpful for us so that we're not spinning our wheels and then council say, you guys aren't doing anything. Well, we're trying our best.
Yeah, like
just
there's
not
some
being-
stuff we need to facilitate the processes here. And that's my point, is like there's stuff that they're asking of us, and it's like, well, let's set something back. It's like, hey, you want us to help you out, then we got Kingsdale we've been trying to get. Like, you guys are asking us for all this stuff, and it's like, well, we've been on this count, we've been here waiting. We've been waiting, and now they're asking us questions. This is great. This is a good thing. I'm not saying that's bad. And I'm just saying, I'm just trying to bring up that we have an opportunity to sort stuff like that to facilitate the process so we can start spending $1 million.
Well, the $1 million has pretty much been spent.
It's in the bank still until that money's zero.
Yeah,
Then
but
let's spend it.
Yeah.
Spend
do signage and it's gone.
whatever.
Yeah, one sign.
No, to me, that's what I'm saying. Get the city planner guy here. I'm sure whoever signed that check for that Redondo Beach, the one by the pier, who's that guy? Who signed that one? That wasn't us. That's a city thing. We can help. We can facilitate and say, hey, we like this guy. We think it should be like this. We'll help you pick the architecture firm. But that shouldn't come out the art budget. That's a city thing. That major sign, and I know they got the money.
I agree
They
with
got it. We're over here doing paint murals and these kind of things. I have no problem giving my opinion on things, but we're sitting on the John Parsons Fund. We're not on the city. We're a commission, and they're asking us to do things. And that's all I'm saying is that we have an opportunity now. Like, if we're going to do the stuff that we like, we all volunteer for, and they need our help, then there's some things we would like to see too. We would like to see the colors, we would like to see the fonts, we would like to see a photographer catalog all these things so we can make informed decisions. That's all. And like you said, there's an opportunity here to have these city planning commission people to sit here too. We can't keep just, oh, why I like this whale. And then we go pick a wall, it goes back up, it bounces back like that. We're in 2023, we can move a little faster, that's all.
Okay, I think we've been able to communicate
Yeah.
this portion of this item. Was there anything more, Mr. Margolis?
Yeah, so I mentioned that your recommendation for the skate park muralist, Andy Jenkins, that was approved by City Council last week. And then in addition to the Artesia project, Gateway will be going to City Council very soon as well. There were I looked at the responses to the new call for the utility box wraps, and there are about 80 of them so far.
Nice.
So I'll try to get you all set up to look at those, and we'll put that on the agenda for
That's fantastic.
That's a lot.
I know, gosh, where did you put it? I feel like
same place where we did the
our
other.
last,
Cafe?
our last staff put it out and we would get like 5.
And some of the,
Price went up there.
it was 80 submissions. Some of the artists submitted like a lot of, like 4 or 5 or 6 or 10, designs. So it's not 80 artists, it's 80 designs.
That's still great. That's 2 artists.
3 days.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I have for today.
So we close that. J5, items from commissioners. I'm not familiar with that. There's nothing. Okay. So I'd like to make a motion to close item J. Or are there any public comments?
No public comments.
No public comments. Okay, item K then, member items and referral to staff.
Yeah, and that's sort of the same as J5. So I think for the next meeting, we don't need both of those, so I'll take one of them off.
Okay,
Right? It's the same thing.
yeah. All right, then we are at L, which is adjournment. Adjournment. The next meeting of the Redondo Beach Public Art Commission will be a regular meeting to be held at 7 p.m. on January 24th, 2024, in the Redondo Beach Council Chamber at 415 Diamond Street, Redondo Beach, California. I call this meeting to adjournment at 8:25 p.m.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.